Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I will be giving you my review of NWA Samhain. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Which took place this past Saturday. I actually watched it on Monday, so here's your kind of late review for it. So let's get into this one, where we start off with the Master of Ceremonies, James Mitchell, welcoming everyone to the show, and introducing our first match of the evening, the Ultimate Team Hardcore War. I know there's more to it, but it would take me all day. Where we see the team of Magic Inc., that's Mike DeMoss and I forget the other dude's name, I'm sorry. Judas, Max the Impaler, and Alex Misery, taking on Sal the Pal, Gags the Gimp, Magnum Muscle, that's Big Strong Mims, the current TV champion, and Dak Draper, and Koa Laxima. So, the rules of this match is, it starts out 1-on-1. If you're eliminated, you get out of there. Replacement comes in the ring and takes your spot. Once everyone has been eliminated from one team, that doesn't constitute a win, apparently, because the losing team then has a chance to send someone else in who was previously eliminated to try to even things back up, which personally, I think that's a little too extra. Like, that's a little too much for this stipulation. So we start off with Max the Impaler versus Dak Draper, which was definitely a bit interesting. Both sides tried to power each other out. Ultimately, Max was eliminated over the top rope, falling to the floor. This brings in Alex Misery, who starts off white hot, tries to get into the match, but ultimately he too is tossed over the top rope for an elimination. Then in comes Cody James, who is one half of Magic Inc. And he just starts out with a House of Fire, takes off the belt he was wearing to hold up his pants, and starts whipping him. Gets a cane. Couple of cane shots right into the finisher for the pinfall win, and Dak Draper is eliminated. Next man in, Koa Laxima, who is relatively new to the NWA scene, but he definitely showed his stuff out there. Definitely tried his best. James went for the spear, get caught into the Uranagi. No, actually, what happened is Cody James hits the Uranagi, throws Koa Laxima between the ropes, and then dives, eliminating himself, which I don't know if that man's that stupid, but whatever. This brings in CJ for a second, although she is a manager. She hits a low blow on Koa. This brings in Magic Jake. Another low blow, DDT, pinfall victory. Next in is the television champion, Mims. And he just goes off on his opponent. Magic Jake then, after a little bit, goes to his corner, takes out a cigarette, lights it up, tries to stick it into Mims' head, but that gets turned around by Mims and gets it right back to him. And then after a big strong slam, Magic Jake is eliminated. So that would seem to indicate that all parties of one side are eliminated. But of course, now we have the extra stipulation of someone else coming in. This brings in Max the Impaler. Actually, Max goes in on their own volition. It's a big old clothesline on Mims. This brings in Judas, who is the last active member of Team Mitchell. Hits a couple of scoop slams, but then Mims with a takedown roll-up to eliminate Judas. And that just leaves the extra life, I'm going to call it. And that is, of course, Max the Impaler. Starts out just beating the heck out of Mims into the clothesline. Mims tries for a spear, but that gets caught right into a suplex. And then a big finisher lariat to finish off Mims. And then that leaves Gags the Gimp coming in. And, Gags evades for a little while. He then gets a keyboard, like on a computer, and just starts taking shots at Max, who then just hits a big old drop kick, and then into a clothesline for the elimination of Gags. That just leaves Sal the Pal, Sal Ronaldo. He gets in. He does his best trying to take out Max, who then gets a chain, wraps it around their fist, knockout blow to eliminate Sal. And then the big mistake, Gags gets back in, checking on his friend. I guess that counts as Gags being the last man in with the extra life. Max immediately on Gags. Welcome to the wasteland for the victory for Team James Mitchell. And of course, that means Gags the Gimp and Sal are now back in the miserably faithful under Father James Mitchell. So, we'll see where that goes from there. It's definitely going to be interesting. I will say it was an overly convoluted match. NWA have definitely done this match before, but without the extra life, which I feel like was much better. This was just overly convoluted to be overly convoluted. Now, next up, this is very, very interesting, as it's a loser leaves town match, as Brady Pierce takes on Rush Friedman, with Rolando Friedman acting as the special guest ref. Lots of really, really good back and forth between the two of these guys. About halfway through, Rolando hits a low blow on Brady Pierce. Rush goes for the pinfall, but that leads to Always Ready. That's right, Mr. Matt Cardona is out. He grabs a chair, and he hits pretty much everyone with the chair, starting with the Friedmans. Looks like he's teaming up with the Brady Pierce. They thumbs up. Kick low blow, which that was ow. Into a bunch of chair shots. Then the refs come out, and Cardona then places Rush's body onto Brady Pierce's, brings over Rolando, and fakes the 3 count for the win. Rush Freeman, I guess. I don't know. I guess that counts. I'm not really sure. So I guess that means Brady Pierce is out of the NWA, which I'm kind of sad about. Dude barely got some singles time, and I thought he'd be really good for NWA. Anyway, we then get post-match Cardona on the microphone. Pretty much says, how is this supposed to be a hardcore pay-per-view without the king of hardcore? Me. I should be in that main event, and there's nothing against Latimer or EC3. But what kind of man needs a woman to watch his back? In which that's contradictory because Matt Cardona does that in the Indies. And then he said, I'd never put my wife in harm's way to get myself ahead. Something he's definitely done. So, calls Camille the biggest in the NWA, which, damn. Then he says EC3 and Cleveland suck. He's not the real champion. I am. The championship is mine. But I'm not mad at EC3. He took advantage of the situation. I'm mad at Billy Corgan because he's the one I handed my title to, as he had to relinquish it due to injury at Always Ready, which is interesting. Anyway. Then out comes Billy Corgan, the owner of the NWA. He gets a microphone. Pretty much says, yeah, Cardona, you're a liar. You think I'm stupid. Were you booked to appear? Cardona said yes. And you had an open challenge. Was I supposed to be your open challenge? Because I'm not a wrestler. And then Corgan continues, alright, it's obvious you want to be in the main event. You never lost the title, but you marched out into my show and tried to book yourself. These people aren't your toys to play around with, but I am a sensible person. Cardona, you really want in that main event? You're going to give me a 5-star match, and you'd have a good chance of winning if I did book you. And we all know that when Matt Cardona is on the card and the marquee, we sell out. And you want my answer? Go to hell. Which, hell of an answer from Billy Corgan. That's going to be interesting for later. And Cardona picks up his chair again. He's threatening Billy Corgan. At times looking to hit him. Then out comes a Camille. Hits a big old spear. Takes Cardona's chair. Hits a couple of chair shots on him. And, that finishes that segment. I will say, I do kind of agree with Cardona here. He's a man who didn't lose that title. But I'm also okay with the one-on-one contest because, that was actually pretty good. I'll get to that in a little bit. Then we get a backstage interview with NWA champion EC3, who pretty much says, look, Cleveland is the city I was born in, the city that made me into the man I was today. There's been many great wrestlers from here, and I'd like to add my name to that list and put me in with the other legends of Cleveland. Tonight, I am the guardian of Cleveland. And they call Cleveland the mistake by the lake. The only mistake, Latimer, is yours. Women weakened knees and having Camille at ringside will be your mistake. And I will still walk out as champion. That was a very, very good promo by EC3, getting me hyped for this main event. Now, we got our first title match of the evening, as it's for the Junior Heavyweight title, and it's a pillar to post match, which basically means falls count anywhere, and did they take advantage of that? Our participants, you have Joe Alonzo challenging Kobe Carino, and they pretty much get right at it with the brawling and Kobe with an angle slam really early on. That was impressive. They then go to the outside, including up into the about the first row of the cheap seats, which that was pretty entertaining. Joe Alonzo was getting held around by security. Steve Corino, Kobe, sorry, he's not Steve, then jumps off from the balcony. Joe Alonzo moves, but the security doesn't. So Kobe thinks he got Joe. Then Joe comes back with a splash of beer right to the face. An eye rake. Which only gets us a 2 count. Then they wrap around, go up on the stage. Joe Alonzo goes for a dive, but Kobe Carino tosses a plastic trash can at him. Then takes a bag and just puts it over his head like, that skeeved me out a little. And then a DDT to pick up the victory and retain his title. This was really, really good action, and it played into the stipulation very well. Yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Both teams worked really, really well together. Next up, we got a tag team match, playa. And the stipulation is, if you're in a pinfall and your opponent kicks out, you gotta take a shot. Which, I mean, that's just wild. We have Kerry Morton and Alex Taylor of the Southern Six taking on the returning to wrestling Mosh and Thrasher, the Headbangers. If you've never seen the Headbangers before, they were in WWE during the Attitude Era. They were a pretty gosh dang entertaining tag team. And they had shaved heads, usually had rock and roll t-shirts on, skirts. They were a very unique team, which I don't know if I can explain it better, really. But, yeah, this match, the match itself was really, really good, very back and forth. My issue with it is after pinfalls, in which there were a lot of, the wrestler would then have to stop, crawl over to ringside, take a cup, and take a shot. And that kind of brought it down for me a little bit. Like, I don't know. I think there's a way to do this stipulation a bit better. But I feel like this could have been a lot better. And obviously highlights of the night including Kerry Morton, who is apparently not a drinker, stumbling around like he's drunk. Which, honestly, I'll admit that was fun. Obviously, Alex Taylor handled his liquor a bit better. Enough to hit a surprise roll-up for the victory for the Southern Six. Now, post-match, Alex Taylor, he's still in the ring. Kerry Morton's trying to go up the ramp. And Taylor grabs a couple of shots for he and the Headbangers. And they all take a shot until the Headbangers attack Taylor and hit him with the stage dive, which is their finisher. I do hope the Headbangers are sticking around for a little while for the NWA. I feel like they add, a little bit of star power to the NWA, especially with them coming on CW soon. We then get a look at the Sinister Minister, and he is wasted, to say the least. Coming out, pretty much saying, look, I just wanted to check up on you guys. Are you guys good? Good, let's continue our show. Which then leads into the submission match, as Jack Stane takes on Blake Troop. And, this match was a little odd, to say the least. Like, I've seen Troop and Jack Stane. They are both entertaining wrestlers. either on their own or in a tag team. But against each other, it really didn't work so well. Like, Troop, definitely an amazing submission guy. But Jack Stain, I don't know what it is. But this match did not work. I don't know. Maybe if it was a different stipulation, maybe it would be a little bit better. End of the match, we get a Pop the Trunk, Trap City. Chris Silvio tries to break up the submission try, but ultimately Troop taps out. So that's a win for Jack Stain. Hopefully this leads to something more for the man, and we can get him away from this rivalry for a little bit. Next up, we got an interview with number one contender Ruthie J. Pretty much saying, look, I've been prepared for this match. I've been waiting years for an opportunity. I'm going to become the new champion. And I'm going to pride myself on being a 5-star athlete. And tonight, you'll see. So, nice, short and sweet promo from the number one contender. We'll see how that one goes. So, next up, no stipulation match. We got the women's tag team titles on the line as Pretty Empowered take on Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising. I wish this match got a little bit more time, because I felt like they were just getting going. When about near the end, everyone hit their finishers on one another. Markova with a whiff on the beautiful destruction kick. Kylie Page with the code Kylie to pick up the victory and retain their titles. Again, that was a really quick match. I was kind of hoping there'd be a little bit more, but I thought it was pretty darn entertaining matchup. Now, next up, we got the national title on the line in a Burning Lake Brawl, which pretty much it's a street fight. As we got Chris Adonis challenging Thrillbilly Silas Mason. And this was pretty much a house fight. They brought it right into the matchup. Adonis going for the master lock a couple of times, but that gets powered out, which, you don't really see that often. On another blocked master lock, Thrillbilly Silas throws Adonis into the ropes, hits the thrill ride, and he wins and retains his title. I feel like this match kind of just got stuck between first and second gear. Like, it wasn't bad per se, but it wasn't what I thought it could be. So maybe due to time constraints, maybe if this goes a little bit longer, we could see more of what makes Thrillbilly interesting. Next up is this wild matchup, as it's a riddle box match. Now, what does that mean? It means in the ring, ringside, wherever, there are these mystery boxes, and you open them, and it's either something you can use as a weapon, or it's just something useless. So, basically, it's pretty much opening loot boxes in any video game. And this is a trios match, as you have Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse, Juggalos for Life, teaming up with the Brothers of Funstruction to take on Vampiro and La Rebellion. And they open the first box. It's a slingshot in which, that doesn't really work. Second box open is a couple of lightsabers in which they start dueling. I'm surprised there wasn't like a duel of the fates chant going on, which that would have been funny. Third box open was just a bunch of balloons which floated up to the ceiling. In which that was actually a pretty big arena. Like, not gonna lie. Next box open is just a bunch of rubber chickens, including a few big ones. And then Brothers of Funstruction use those against La Rebellion. Box number 5, it's just a bunch of t-shirts. And the Brothers and Violent J start throwing it out to the crowd. La Rebellion then brings out their own weaponry, including trash can lids, kendo sticks, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And they just start beating down the Brothers of Funstruction. The next box open is a pumpkin, which definitely interesting. Brothers go to use it for whatever, and then just the combined mist attack, which that's interesting. Then Bestia puts the pumpkin on Violent J's head and hits him with a kendo stick. The 7th box open, and it's a pie. Pie goes right into the manager's of La Rebellion's face, which and then one of the brothers, Yabo, goes for a balloon pop, which holds it right next to his opponent's ear and just pops it, which that would just scare the heck out of me every time. 8th box open, it's popcorn, but buried in the popcorn, of course, it's a bag of thumbtacks. La Rebellion set them out, mix it up with the popcorn, bring up a handful, put it in Yabo's mouth, and hits a knee to have him like swallow it, which that gets me every time, man. I hate that spot. I wish we could be done with it. Then after a couple big boots and a nail in the coffin from Violent J to Vampiro. So your winners, Violent J and the Brothers of Funstruction. I'm going to say this. I feel like it was a very entertaining match for what it was. But ultimately, the stipulation needs tweaking. Like, I'm not sure what it was, but the slowing down to just open boxes, I don't know. I feel like what could have been done is have multiple pinfalls, and if you get a pinfall, you open a box. I feel like that would work a bit better. So, anyway, that's just me. They then cut to the Sinister Minister again. He's out in the crowd with Sal and Gags, and they're snorting white powder. I'm not going to say anything more about that, because I'm sure it's been covered elsewhere. Next up, we got the last non-stipulation match of the night, and it's for the NWA Women's title, aka the Burke, as we have Kenzie Page taking on Ruthie J. And this was an absolutely fun match. Ruthie J definitely feels like she belongs, including hitting a huge blue thunder bomb for the 2 count. Kenzie tries for the cutter, but that gets blocked. Hits a Stardust, which, that's an interesting move. But instead of going for the pinfall, Ruthie then goes up top, goes for a frog splash, misses. Kenzie Page into the Kenzie Cutter for the win and the retention. Overall, this was definitely one of the better matches of the night. But I feel like we kind of skipped a few gears. Like, it started out fine, but then it's like, you skip 2, go right to 3. And then it's over. Like, I don't know. The pacing of this match was a little weird. But overall, I think it was a dang good match. Next up, we got the NWA Tag Team titles on the line in a Knights of the Round Tables match featuring Blunt Force Drama and Knox and Murdoch. Now, the stipulation of this match is pretty simple. You put your opponent through a round table, in which wrestling tables are usually pretty square. So, yeah. They definitely set up a couple of regular tables in this match, put each other through them a couple times, but of course then the match didn't end, in which the announcer kept chiming in saying, "Oh, not a round table, match continues," in which I feel like that was a little annoying. I feel like that could have been done a better way, but I'm not 100% sure how. So they're pretty much brawling all over the place, putting each other through tables. But then Knox and Murdoch have damage up on the ramp, up on the stage, in which have off the stage the only round table in the arena. They were about to put him through it. One of the knights from the set dressing, in which on the set was a couple knights, Jester and a queen, in which I think that was May Valentine, in which good seeing her again. And before Knox and Murdoch could put damage through the table, one of the knights comes out, clocks both Knox and Murdoch in the back of the head, and then just a spinebuster through the round table. So your winners, still NWA Tag Team Champions, Blunt Force Drama. And post-match, we got the reveal of who the knight is. It's Aaron Stevens. Of course, the man was banned from ringside by Billy Corgan earlier in the day. But, of course, he gets around it. And, of course, when May Valentine sees him, she immediately goes after him. Which, honestly, we'll see how that one goes. Overall, the match itself wasn't bad, but I feel like there's a better way to have this stipulation. But I thought it was pretty entertaining. And finally, we got our main event of the evening, and it's a no limits match, which basically means no DQ. It's for the NWA World Title as EC3 defends against Tom Latimer. And Latimer pretty much dominates throughout this entire match, mostly. EC3 does get some offense in, but ultimately Camille does get involved at points, hits EC3 with a couple of chair shots. Then Camille sets up a chair seated next to it down to EC3, kept slapping him, while Latimer was over on the announce table chatting with the ring announcers, which, that was weird. EC3 then gets up. He kind of pushes Camille away. Tom Latimer gets off the sticks, gets back in the ring, hits a nasty-looking neck breaker. Latimer tries for the brighter side of suffering, but that gets blocked, as does a 1%er earlier, which that was a heck of a situation. Latimer with the pile driver, which that looked brutal. This brought Camille back in with a chair, couple of chair shots. But then, as Latimer was going for his own chair shots, EC3 got up, pushed Tom Latimer into Camille. That knocked out Camille for a little bit. Latimer then sets up the chair in a corner. Out comes Matt Cardona. He looks to hit the reboot on Camille, but Tom Latimer gets in the way of that move. EC3 gets him back in the ring, hits a pile driver of all things to pick up the win and retain his title. Now, post-match, you have a little interaction between EC3 and Matt Cardona, talking about a potential match between the two, which I'd be okay with that. But then Latimer, who, after a little while, sees Cardona, runs up the ramp, and they just start brawling. It eventually took security to break them up to ultimately end this show. Now, overall, the wrestling was very, very good. There were some odd stipulations that didn't really work, that maybe need some tweaking. But overall, I thought it was a fun, kind of Halloween-themed pay-per-view. Overall, I think I'm going to give it like a thumbs in the middle. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily great either. So, that's my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Coming up tomorrow, we got a doubleheader of predictions coming for Impact Wrestling Final Resolution, which comes to us from the UK. And I've ultimately decided to do this. I am going to cover WWE Crown Jewel, which is on Saturday at 1 p.m. And that's going to be in Saudi Arabia. So those predictions are going for there. On Friday, I'm going to review some of the first part of This Week in Wrestling, which, stay tuned for that. That should be entertaining. Then I'll review both Final Resolution and Crown Jewel, kind of at the same time. And then I'll review the rest of the week in pro wrestling probably on Tuesday. So, that'll do it from me. I hope you guys all enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.